Let's talk Baby Reindeer, shall we? Shannan E. Johnson here, CEO of The Professional Pen, where we develop screenwriters from idea to pitch. Need help on your screenplay? Go to www.theprofessionalpen.com. Okay, so Baby Reindeer is a wild ride. Took me a long time to watch it. I first didn't really know what it was about. Then I started hearing about it and I said, okay, that sounds interesting. But it still took me a while. So here I am. And I finished it maybe in 2 days. It's only 6 episodes or so. So it's definitely something that you can take in. Trigger warning for SA. So if that's something that you don't want to see, this might not be the show for you. So let's get into it. A lot of times you will hear from even people like myself, from script consultants, from other writers, from executives, from whomever, as they're giving you feedback on your screenplay, that you should not lean on voiceover to tell your story. You want to show us how the character feels versus telling us what the character is thinking and having them narrate to us, right? This is a note that we have heard over and over again. So why does it work in Baby Reindeer? Because the majority of the show is his narration. Simply put, the reason that it works in Baby Reindeer is because this show is more about the why he's doing what he's doing than the behavior itself. So the writer is bravely retelling his own story to understand why he did what he did. We actually hear him debating with himself and questioning himself and not understanding his own choices. So this is really him writing in his diary and giving us a peek on the inside. So this is good because what I tell people when they decide to use voiceover is use it as a mechanism that pushes the story forward. I will often ask, why are you using the voiceover? Sometimes it is because they just want people to know what's in the character's head because they don't want to do the hard work of showing. Sometimes they haven't thought about it at all. Sometimes they're doing it because their favorite movies have done it, right? But we have to do everything in our screenplays with intention, including using narration. So what I'll tell them is take all the narration out and see if you still have a story. If you do, then you probably don't need the narration. If you don't, then you have to ask yourself, why? What is the intent? What is the mechanism of the voiceover? The other thing I'll touch on is in every story, your character must grow. Your character must move in one direction or the other. We always assume that means progress. We always assume that means they have to move forward. That is not the case. Your character can also regress in their change. So in Baby Reindeer, what we're watching is Donnie spiraling out of control into a depression, right? Because it isn't until he can be honest with himself about why that he can then understand why he was so easily manipulated, and even more so, why he liked it. And shout out to this writer and actor, Barry, I believe, for being so vulnerable, not just on the page, but on the screen. This is also something I talk to my clients about. Hey, pen pals, I'm talking to you. If you want people to watch and relate, if you want people to understand your characters, you have to be vulnerable. You have to put the stuff on the page that we're afraid to say. Do it, do it, do it. The rewards are great. So as we're watching the show, we're assuming we're watching Donnie get better, and he's actually getting worse. And he literally doesn't make that change until the end. So does he grow? Yes. But the majority of the time, we're watching him regress. The last thing that I'll say about this series is often when I'm talking to people who are writing television shows, so not just the pilot, right? But if we're talking about the whole season, maybe you're pitching it, maybe you're already in the room, whatever it is. Just like those beats exist episode per episode with your normal, your inciting incident, your goal, your debate, your trial and error, midpoint, climax, resolution, etc., etc. That's also true for the entire season, right? The season has a midpoint. The season has a climax. The season has a resolution. So Baby Reindeer does a really good job, if you're paying attention, of watching the escalation of the series itself, right? as her behavior escalates, as his behavior escalates, so does the movement of the story. So you could also look at each episode and tell us where we are in the beats of the series. So they do a really good job at that. Have you seen it? What did you think? Drop down in the comments. Until then, happy writing.
The professional pen. The professional